Yes, I guess I'm going to hang out here for the next couple hours.
Yep.
I should have gotten 3 meat on the sticks.
Well, maybe some. Well, you brought some. You brought some remains of dinner with you, didn't you, from the
Yeah,
lighthouse?
of course I did. I'm a gnome.
So, if there's nothing else you'd care to investigate in this office,
Nope,
nope. All right.
I don't want to
So,
get in trouble.
so you wait, and it seems like a long time. Um, it's probably not all that long, but it is a wait. And finally, you hear kind of a stomping coming from outside the door to the office where you are. And it seems it's getting closer rapidly. It rapidly gets closer and closer. And all of a sudden, bam! The door to the office slams open. And into the room walks that pale blue tiefling.
Great.
Dressed all in black.
Oh,
Once again, he does that thing where he stops right in the doorway. So he's perfectly framed in the doorway to anybody that's looking in that direction. He just stops there, like in a perfect, like he's Madonna voguing almost. Wow, that's a dated reference.
yes.
So,
Yes.
so, and he once again puts his hands on his hips and just looks at you. And even Monty seems to make himself a little bit smaller as this tiefling is kind of taking the two of you in. He turns around, turns his back to you, slowly closes the door. Click. Spins back around, looks at you again for a brief second, walks over to the desk, kind of brushes the top of it off, takes the chair, kind of precisely places the chair behind him, and kind of very gracefully sits down, folds his hands on the desk in front of him, looks at you, reaches down into a drawer off to one side, pulls out a quill pen, reaches down into the drawer on the other side, pulls out a piece of paper, places them precisely right in front of him, leans back in his chair. Well, my gnome friend, my name is Inquisitor Captain Rykor Neverlorn. What is your name for the record?
Warren Wobblecog II.
He writes it down on the parchment in front of him. I'm told that you have an interesting artifact and perhaps a more interesting tale to tell.
I do, I think. Yes.
Let me see what you have.
I pull out this tooth.
And you see his yellow eyes kind of widen slightly. Place it on the desk there.
Okay. I walk up, place it on the desk.
Proceed.
Okay. So I was sent here to help further the faith of Nadine. And I arrived here last night.
You notice
this morning
he's taking notes the whole time you're talking.
So this morning I left town to go see the Glimmerglass clan because that's where I'm staying. And on my way out, I was following the path along the bay, and I noticed there was a ship that probably was manned by like 10 people that was flipped upside down on the beach.
A ship, you say?
Or boat, yes.
Well, was it the ship or a boat?
What's the difference?
A ship is a sea-going vessel. A boat is usually much smaller, let's say.
It required probably at least a 10-person crew.
4 or 5.
4 or 5.
It would have been like 4 or 5.
Okay, so 4 or 5.
Was it a fishing vessel?
I think so.
Okay, so a boat.
It is still there. So
we'll say a boat then.
a boat.
Continue.
All right. So we saw some like marks in the sand, so I wanted to make sure everyone was okay if there were people in it. And I threw a rock to make sure that there was nothing in there, and a giant crab, which I have since learned is a fireface crab, popped out of the ship. So Monty, my companion, I told Monty to taunt it and run, and the fireface crab and Monty ran, and I investigated the boat. I saw a soggy, wet shirt like off of the boat. I saw what might have been some drag marks, and I spent some time looking at the boat, and it looks like it was eaten. And the fireface crab was living on the inside of it, and this tooth was on one of the main beams, implying that it was eaten. I didn't see anybody or any personal belongings. I assume that they're gone.
One moment, please. And he stands up, walks over to the door, and just opens it like a few inches. And Sergeant. And you see somebody approach him, and he kind of leans out and he whispers something to somebody that you can't see out the door. Sticks his head through the couple of inches of crack that he's opened it up, and he whispers something. You can make a perception check if you like to try and hear what he's saying.
18.
18. Head to the shoreline on the trail to the lighthouse. Take a party of 6 men, lanterns, horses as well. I want this done as fast as possible. Look for a beached and shipwrecked fishing vessel. Investigate it, find out what you can, especially who it belongs to. Go right now. Yes, right now. Closes the door, comes back and sits down. Continue.
Then Monty and we couldn't find any further information. We continued on to the Glimmerglass Lighthouse, and I gave this story to them, and they told me to come back to you. And so I'm here now. I would really like to go to bed and have another dinner soon, but I'm here. Hi. I helped.
They told you to come to me specifically?
They told me to come to the guard house. And the individuals that have the yellow caps and the yellow shoulder thingies to talk to them specifically.
Yes. Which of the esteemed Glimmerglass clan were in residence?
Goldrin and Lizzie. My understanding is they're the youngest.
Yes, very well. Interesting. Very interesting. Very well. This is definitely something that must be investigated. If there is a monster of the size indicated by that tooth in our harbor, that's certainly something that we need to know about and deal with. Our first step will be to find out whose vessel that is. And from there, we can hopefully ascertain what their fate was.
Whilst I was up at the lighthouse, Goldrin gave me a smudge stick of a plant substance that scares the fireface crab away. Could you guys use some for your journey?
I'm not sure what you'd be referring to, but my men are well armed and They're
Of course.
certainly capable of dealing with common pests like fireface crabs.
I didn't know they were common. I've never seen them before.
No, they're common to this area. If you're not from around here, and I know all of the gnomes that are in this area, or at least until you arrived, then you would probably not have seen fireface crabs before. They're indigenous to this particular stretch of coast.
Oh, okay. It's not very convenient for you guys or the crab.
Mm. They do make surprisingly tasty barbecue.
Hmm, that's exciting. Keep that in mind if I ever find one again.
Well,
Is there? Go ahead.
no, continue, please.
I was gonna ask is if there's anything else that you need from me. Is there anything I can help with? You know,
Well, I don't know. Can you?
what an inquisitor like question to ask. I don't know. This is all that I have for a tale.
Well, I would say there are two things on my mind tonight. There's now this story that you brought me about a aquatic monster that may be endangering our shores, and then there's this other matter of this corpse that we found in the graveyard this morning.
Hmm.
Are either of those two things something that you have expertise in?
No,
Things that you can help us to solve?
I mean I can take a look at it if you'd like me to.
Take a look
I
at
know, like,
what
say again.
specifically you have to take a look at.
Like, um, I am of Nadine, and so we did a lot of like engineering, like mechanical stuff. So if there's anything that is structural that you want me to look at and try to extrapolate, I could take a look at stuff.
I don't think that applies to either of my current problems, but I can certainly keep that in mind if it comes up in the future. You're going to be in residence for some time then?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how long. My teacher will probably let me know when it's okay for me to return.
Return to where exactly?
Old Aaron. Aaron?
A Rowland.
Rowland, thank you. Rowland. It gives me character, okay? Rowland. I spelled it phonetically.
Well, that's very interesting. A Meta Knight on assignment I have before me. That hasn't happened before. That's certainly an interesting contrast to the face that are already represented here in Blackshore. Not unwelcome, you understand, but definitely different. I would suggest then my first suggestion, if you don't have any particular expertise for my current problems, perhaps you could help the Arumar family. They're having their manor is out to the west of the town proper. It's an old, ramshackle, rambling, sprawling type of place, and I understand that they're looking for, I suppose you could say, an architect. And I also understand that the Coldwater Bridge, which is nearby to the manor, is of late fallen into disrepair. And the Arumar family could probably also use an expert engineer in that matter as well.
Cool.
So if none of your other talents touch upon my particular domain, perhaps the Arumar family can find some task that will keep you busy and satisfied.
Oh, thanks. It's always important to be efficient and to help people when possible.
That's one way to put it, yes. Have you received any training in the medical arts at all?
Yes.
Okay. Do you out of character, do you have the medicine skill? Are you proficient in medicine, I should say?
No.
No. Okay.
I have healing spells. I did not give myself proficiency.
Yeah. So that would be a little different from what he's asking.
Okay, so I'm going to say no.
Training in anatomy and the treatment of diseases and things of that nature. Causes of death specifically.
Out of character, detect poison and disease.
Yeah. So he's what he's asking for is basically the medicine skill.
Yeah, okay.
So he's looking for somebody with forensic talents.
Yep.
Is what he's that's what he's trying to get at.
Yep. Unfortunately, no, I don't have those particular skills.
Very well then. I would suggest that you perhaps contact the Aramar family. They are. I'll warn you that they, particularly since the death of the first mayor, Timoth, they've been a little eccentric. So I will warn you, but they pay well and they generally mean no harm.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. All right.
Well then, I've taken extensive notes on your story. If I have any questions, I know to contact you, as you said, at the lighthouse where you will be in residence. I thank you for your quick and responsible actions in coming to report this matter. I would suggest that you not head back after dark, but stay in town. It's not the most safe journey back in the dead of night as it is now. So I would suggest you find lodgings here overnight and head back tomorrow if that's what you so desire.
Okay. All right. Great. Thanks. Gonna pick up my tooth. I can pick up my right. Go to leave.
All right.
Auntie, he was terrifying.
And he doesn't say anything. You see, kind of as you get up to go, and you kind of see him out of the corner of your eye. He just kind of sits there for just a second and strokes his pointed beard a little bit with a kind of a thoughtful look on his face. Scratches a few more notes on the paper, and that's the last you see of him as you walk out the door. And you're kind of back in this maze of hallways that you came in through, and you kind of look around for a minute, and you don't quite know which way to go. And then you kind of catch a glimpse of the guardsman that led you in here, the one with the sword. Is standing further down the hallway to your right, and he kind of waves at you, come this way. So you head out that way, and he leads you back out to the backside where the booth was. So now you're out on the backside of the watch station once again, back in that glorified alleyway.
I'm gonna thank the dude and saunter off to find a building that has an inn sign on
it. Make a perception check.
10.
10? Okay.
I could ask the guy. I'm gonna ask the guy that closes the gate if there's a
Okay.
safe place to stay.
Yep. So you turn back. You were starting to walk down the alleyway, and you turn back thinking to ask the guardsman, uh, for recommendation of an inn, and you notice that he's gotten up from his stool that he was sitting on, and he's walked over to the padlocked gate, and you can see him kind of with one ear cocked to the side like this, kind of leaning closer to the gate, and with this kind of look of puzzlement on his face.
Hmm.
And he's just standing there kind of quietly, and just kind of, it looks like he's listening.
Um, are there any other guards that I can see?
Nope, just him. It's the same. The alleyway looks the same as when
Right,
you
yeah.
turned around that corner once again.
I'm gonna turn around and stand next to him and wait for him to acknowledge me to ask the question.
All right, and he sees you come up to him, and he kind of looks at you, kind of looks back, kind of cocks his head back toward the door. You hear that? You didn't hear anything.
No.
That almost sounded like screams.
Did Monty react?
Make a perception check with Monty's perception.
17.
He didn't react initially. Like, it didn't seem like he heard anything. But now that you kind of came up and stood next to this guardsman at the gate, he starts sniffing the gate. And he seems real interested in something that he smells.
I didn't hear anything, but Monty, who is a dog, so he's got good senses, is particularly interested in this gate and what's beyond the gate. So I don't know if that's helpful information.
I don't know if it was my imagination or roll a perception check. Both you and Monty.
I got an 18, so for me that's a 20, and he got a 12, which is a 15. So I got an unnatural 20, he got a 15.
Now that you got a natural 20?
Unnatural 20.
Oh, okay. Now that you've kind of come closer to the gate, and you're sort of intently listening at his insistence, you hear what sounds like muffled screaming coming from beyond the gate, like inside the structure. For sure.
Inside that I came from?
So inside the watch station. Like, it's for sure, that's what it sounds like. And you can hear it now. It's muffled, but you can definitely make it out. And it's like continuing. Like, it's not continuous, like it's not unbroken, but it, like, someone, like a scream and then a pause and then scream, and then maybe like 2 or 3 screams all at once, and then so it's like a staccato outburst of screaming.
You're a guard. We should go in there. There's not
you
good.
You hear it?
Yes,
Are you hearing
let's
it
go.
too? All right, yeah,
Yes,
let's go.
yes.
He pulls out the key, puts it in the padlock, opens it up, opens the gate up, grabs his spear and the lantern, and rushes inside. Do you follow him?
Yes. I also have my own spear that I
Okay.
hope nobody robs me of.
You and Monty follow him on his heels, and he runs through, and you kind of immediately you're kind of lost. You don't know exactly where you are because of the way that these hallways kind of twist and turn. You're just kind of following him, and you're on his heels as he's not quite running through. He's kind of moving quickly but cautiously, kind of just kind of taking everything in and like not moving any further than he can see by the lantern light, and he's just kind of going down, navigating his way through these twisting hallways and corridors. And you're kind of turned around at this point, but you're just following. And as soon as you got inside the gate, Gesundheit, the muffled screams start becoming clearer, and you can hear them. And it's people screaming, blood-curdling screams. Several people, like more than one person screaming. And you can hear crashing, and you can hear the sound of metal clashing. You're getting further down these hallways, closer. You hear wood splintering. You hear these weird cracking noises. You swear from at least one place you start hearing the crackle of flames of fire as well. You kind of start getting a whiff of smoke, the smell of smoke as well. It's getting louder and louder. All of a sudden, the wall to the left of the guardsman, as he's kind of moving his way through this hallway, the stone wall just explodes outward, pelting him with these fragments of stone. And you and Monty actually get hit with a little bit of it as well, like smaller fragments of stone come flying in your face. You kind of fling up your arm to kind of shield your face from some of this flying pieces of stone. And when you lower it down, the guardsman is now staggered up against the opposite wall. So the wall on his left kind of exploded inward at him. And now he's kind of staggered up and kind of leaning against the wall to his right. And you see all down his left side is just a sheet of red blood coming down his body. And right in front of him, and about maybe 6 to 10 feet right in front of him, and kind of partially blocked, your view of it is kind of partially blocked by his body leaning against the wall, especially since he's quite a bit bigger than you are. The bulk of his body kind of blocks your view. You see a humanoid figure, and the guardsman has dropped the lantern on the ground, so it shattered. Okay, so in the time that you flung your arm up and then lowered it, the lantern is shattered on the floor, and the lantern oil is now burning on the floor. So it's casting these kind of wild light and interplay of light and shadow all over this hallway, which is otherwise dark. So in front of them, about 6 to 10 feet in front of them, all you can see is kind of this silhouette that's kind of illuminated by this kaleidoscope of light and shadow coming off of the burning lantern oil. And it appears to be a pretty hulking humanoid figure. Appears to be naked, no clothing. Bone white flesh and huge claws and fangs. And it appears it's got one arm raised, and it's got like sheer red from the tips of its fingers all the way up to its bicep. And it raises its arm up like this, and whoosh, takes another, lunges forward, slashes at the guardsman, whoosh, rips a chunk out of his face and his chest. And he just stands there leaning up against the wall and just makes this horrible gurgling noise.
Yep, he's dead.
And then you see the figure with the claws and the fangs turn around and just dart up the hallway away from the two of you, and just darts further up the hallway. And the guardsman slowly slumps down to the ground and just starts bleeding out right in front of you. And we might end the session for tonight right there, because
That's cool.
It's 11 o'clock. And
okay.
this would be a good place to dump you in next session.